I'm Harrison Graham. Today's episode of Chicago Bears Now is presented by True Classic. Rocking one of the golf polos today. Go check out their activewear. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com/chatsports. All right, well, it's been a busy few days. The Chicago Bears have made some moves in free agency. They obviously traded away quarterback Justin Fields and traded for wide receiver Keenan Allen. So feels like it's a perfect time to do a brand new mock draft. Bears mock draft 19.0, and obviously the first one that we've done without Justin Fields. Now, where the Bears sit right now, only 4 draft picks. Now, when you add up draft pick points, there's like a point system that the NFL goes by. They're still 7th because they have 2 picks in the top 10, but they got 1 and 9 in the first round. They got 75 in round 3, and then 122 in round 4. Most teams, scouts, and evaluators view this as a really good 4-round draft. Then it falls off rounds 5 through 7 because a lot of guys who would have normally come out went back to school for NIL or COVID reasons. So that's where things sit right now for the Chicago Bears. And look, I know yesterday was emotional. It's a bittersweet moment for sure. Bitter for some people, sweet for others. For me, I'd say both, trading away Justin Fields. But now you got to turn the page. And I want to ask you, do you want Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick? Type Y for yes, you do, or N for no, you don't. Let me know in the comments. This will be the pinned comment on today's episode. All right, let's get into mock draft 19.0. That is where I'm going. No surprise. Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. And all signs, reports, Ian Rapoport, Albert Breer kind of throwing out there. The heavy expectation is that the Bears will draft Caleb Williams number 1 overall. And I think something else that became clear yesterday, I know Adam Hogue had reported this a couple weeks ago at CHGO. The Bears' plan B, if something falls apart with Caleb Williams, is drafting another quarterback, which is why I think they were comfortable trading away Justin Fields when they did. Now, some key dates coming up in regards to Caleb. His pro day is this Wednesday, March 20th. That'll obviously be big. There will be a big Bears contingency there, no doubt about it. Shortly after that, Caleb Williams will have his top 30 visit at Hallis Hall. Not sure exactly when, not sure if there's a date scheduled. I would guess within a week of that pro day. And then the NFL draft, of course, April 25th through 27th, the 25th being round 1 when the Bears are on the clock for the number 1 overall pick. We've talked about Caleb, the player, a lot. I think he's got the full arsenal. He's not a perfect product, obviously. Still has a lot of room to grow like all rookies do. But obviously they have opted to go in a direction of drafting a quarterback after trading Fields. And Caleb Williams is the clear favorite. And if something falls apart or changes, the Bears will look to drafting either Drake May or presumably Jaden Daniels. So Caleb Williams, number 1. We're going to trade down from number 9 because I do want to get some more draft capital. The Denver Broncos come calling. I trade for 12. You swap 9 and 12. You get 76 in return as well. Maybe you can get a late day 3 pick out of them as well, or a day 3 pick next year, but this is still a premium. You think last year the Bears traded down from 9 to 10 with Philly in the Darnell Wright, Jalen Carter deal. Picked up a 4th, so you go from 9 to 12. I think a 3rd is probably a reasonable return in that regard. Get an extra day 2 pick there. Then I'm going to trade down again, little double trade down. Get 2 extra picks here overall. Go from 12 to 16, pick up another 3rd, 81 overall with the Seattle Seahawks, because the Bears could certainly sit at 9 and draft an edge, or if Malik Neighbors or Omadunze is still there, go that route. They were both gone in this mock. But how about a double trade down to 16 to get that edge rusher, which is a big need right now for Chicago. Laiatu Latu, the edge out of UCLA. To me, there's a big 3 at edge and then a big drop-off in this draft. It's Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, and Laiatu Latu. So you get Latu at 16, and I think he's the most polished pass rusher in this draft. Now, I think Dallas Turner has the most upside with his athletic ability. Jared Verse might be the most complete right now, but as a just capable pass rusher, Latu is the most productive guy, and I think is the most polished in terms of his different moves and ability to get after the quarterback. The production speaks for itself. 23.5 sacks over the last couple of years. Obviously, any team's got to do a thorough medical evaluation with him because he was medically retired at one point. Chatter coming out of Indianapolis was pretty high in that regard, so I definitely think he could be a pretty darn good fit. And if you could trade down twice and still get a quality edge, I'd be all for that. Talk more about this and keep the mock rolling in just a second, but I do want to appreciate True Classic for sponsoring today's show. They've been a sponsor of us here for a long time. They've been mostly known for their t-shirts throughout their history, but they've expanded over the years. I love their polos. They've got dry fit ones. They got kind of the combo blend ones as well. Big fan of going out on the golf course in their polos and getting 18 going. Me and Rolly do that all the time, rocking True Classic out there. Go to trueclassic.com/chatsports to get 25% off. What's cool about True Classic is they fit people of all sizes. If you got a little bit of a gut like I do, or if you got a six-pack, or if you're skinny, or if you're bigger, their t-shirts are going to fit you well. They're going to fit you snug. They're going to show the best parts of the body, and then you can expand from there. Go get their joggers. Go check out their hoodies. Clean, classic looks. None of these crazy designs that you see out there with a lot of these brands. That's why it's called True Classic. trueclassic.com/chatsports, and my favorite part as well is if you buy in bulk, 3-pack, 6-pack, 9-pack for their different products, you get better bang for your buck. So go check them out today. No reason to wait. Spring is here. Golf is on the horizon if you like to get out and tee it up. trueclassic.com/chatsports. Get you 25% off. Link is in the comments and in the description. When you get back to this Laiatu Latu pick here, edge is the Bears' biggest need right now. Yes, you need another receiver. You could go defensive line. You could certainly continue to bolster that offensive line. But you look at this defensive line, you've got Montez Sweat, who you really like, but you don't have that clear edge too. I mean, at least Andrew Billings, he's solid at nose. Javon Dexter, he came on late last year. If he has to start, I think you feel okay as long as you get some depth there at defensive tackle. But that number 2 edge position, I like DeMarcus Walker more as a rotation guy. He could play edge. He could play 3-tech. Adding another guy that just comes off the edge and gets after the quarterback, that is something you need, and Latu could certainly provide that. So still no second-round pick, but now a trio of third-round picks. And with the first one here, I'm going to take Christian Haynes, the guard out of UConn. Some evaluators believe he could play some center in the NFL too. Played strictly guard in college, so certainly would have to work at that. But he's one of the best guards in this draft. His athletic profile is very good. It checks the boxes of what Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus like in terms of relative athletic score. Gave up just 1 sack last year, 3-year starter for the Huskies, which I like as well. His zone scheme grade was very high, which we know that is going to be a staple of this offense, that wide zone running scheme that Shane Waldron's going to likely employ. I like where the Bears' offensive line sits. You could certainly add more, though, here. You've got 2 center options right now, Coleman Shelton and Ryan Bates, which is a clear upgrade from what you had in Lucas Patrick and Cody Whitehair. But there's still questions about the future of Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis. If both are healthy this year, they're going to be your starters. But I still think bringing in a guard is a very high possibility because they're both free agents after this year. Well, Jenkins technically isn't, but he didn't play great last year. Or excuse me, Davis technically isn't. He didn't play great last year, has some injury concerns, just like Tevin does, which we know. So you already need backups for that reason. But Tevin, free agent in 2025. Davis, you can get out of his contract as well after this year, especially if he doesn't play well. So I think drafting a guard, if there's someone you like in the middle rounds, makes a whole lot of sense. And then obviously you still need another receiver. Your top 2 is as good as any in the league right now, all of a sudden, with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. But Javon Baker out of UCF, who didn't test amazingly well at the combine. He kind of just tested okay, but his tape is fantastic. I mean, the guy averaged 22 yards per catch on pretty high volume last year, 52 catches for over 1,100 yards, had 7 touchdowns. And this is absolutely insane. His contested catch rate is 56.3%. That means over half the time when you're basically just throwing jump balls up, he's coming down with it. That is an extraordinarily high number. And that is something that the Bears don't really have a ton of. Like, DJ Moore can do some of that, but he's more of a yak guy, right? Keenan Allen gives you some yak. He's more of an underneath kind of route running technician to get separation on those routes. They tried this with Claypool. That obviously didn't work out. You get Javon Baker in here who can work the boundary a little bit and be your number 3. Tyler Scott kind of becomes that wide receiver 4 who does some gadget stuff and can run some flies and screens for you. You could use a physical outside receiver on this offense, and I think Javon Baker could provide just that. So I think in the 3rd round, that's kind of the sweet spot for him. If he tested better, maybe he would have gone round 2, but I think between 60 and 90 is probably where he's going to go. So I think the value is there, and he fills a need and gives you a different look at receiver that you don't currently have. Subscribe to the channel. We will be your top spot for Bears NFL draft content. We'll continue to crank out weekly mocks. We'll do an updated draft trade ideas, I'm sure. Draft targets at pick number 9. Should they trade down? Should they not? We'll have it all covered. Get you ready for draft night. Then, of course, we'll be live for most, if not all, of the NFL draft. So hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications at youtube.com/BearsDown. Okay, the last third-round pick here after trading down twice earlier. Patrick Paul. It seems like, he's sitting there in the third round of these mocks when I go through these exercises, and I just find it a hard time to pass up on this guy. The athletic profile is what Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus like. The arms are incredibly long at 36 inches. He's 6'7", 330. He ran just over a 5'1", 40 at that size. Is absolutely insane. I mean, his profile athletically is very similar to that of Darnell Wright. He's also a 3-year starter at left tackle at the University of Houston. His pass blocking is impressive. He got better year over year, including after Houston made the jump in competition from the Group of 5 to the Big 12. And look, this is a loaded offensive tackle draft. I could very well see Ryan Poles wanting to get one of these guys, even if he doesn't get one of the top 3 or 4 there in the first round at number 9 or in a trade down. You get Patrick Paul on day 2, gives you a swing tackle option, also some competition depth for Braxton Jones if they still have some questions there. So I think the value's too good here, and he's got major promise athletically in this league moving forward. How confident are you guys in Braxton Jones at left tackle? Scale it from 1 to 10. I give it a solid 7. I mean, he's played pretty solid his first 2 years. Now, I don't think he's ever going to be an all-pro. He's probably never going to be a Pro Bowler, but I think he's an above-average tackle in this league. But again, he's got limitations as an anchor. He's not as athletic as someone like Patrick Paul, so I would certainly not hesitate to bring in one of these freaks that's in this draft, because this is one of the best offensive tackle drafts in recent memory. Another trade here on day 3. Didn't love the options on the board at 122, so flip down with New England. I get 137 and 180, so they can move up 15 spots, and I basically go 2 for 1 here, even though it's not considered the deepest draft. Maason Smith out of LSU, though, in round 4 or round 5, I think is a dart worth throwing if you're Ryan Poles. You need another defensive tackle. He's a guy that I think is worth trying to develop. He's a huge recruit out of LSU, missed most of a season, had some injury concerns, some off-field questions, so certainly some things to vet. But on day 3, and I think now the Bears are in a position roster-wise where if they want to take a risk in the 5th round like this, I think they can do that at a position where they can add some talent. The potential is there for Maason Smith. I mean, this guy was the number 1 recruit coming out of the state of Louisiana, top 30 recruit overall, and it just never completely clicked at LSU, but he flashed signs. He's got the physical makeup to do it. Can he figure it out between the ears? I was at his podium for about 10 minutes at the NFL Combine. Seemed like a well-spoken guy to me. Seemed like he was ready for the NFL. So bring him in here on day 3, see if he can develop. Could be one of the steals of the draft potentially. And then with that extra pick there, round 6, 180, Erick, the tight end out of Iowa. Pretty good pass catcher. His last year at Michigan in 2021, I think he had over 400 yards. This year at Iowa, had about 300 yards on a putrid offense, by the way. So he's a guy who's shown some ability to catch the football and give you some yards after the catch. You obviously still have questions at tight end 3 here. I love the 1-2 punch. Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. That's a nice pairing. I'm still very much in favor of bringing back Mercedes Lewis as tight end 3, but if you're unclear if he wants to keep playing, he said at the end of the year he does, or if you're worried he's going to sign elsewhere, well, you obviously got to upgrade over Stephen Carlson, who he has still not been forgiven by Rolly and I after that preseason drop last year. The real ones know, but Erick could be a developmental tight end 3. I think he'd be an upgrade over Carlson and someone that could become, probably not a future starter, but maybe a tight end 2 in this league. All right, there you go. Grade this Bears mock draft, A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know how you're feeling on today's mock in the comments. And be sure to subscribe, turn on the notifications. I told you guys yesterday it's time for the fan base to come back together. I get there were emotions involved yesterday, and you can absolutely still be a Justin Fields fan. I know I'm going to be. But we got to get excited about this team, man. This team could be pretty damn good. You got Keenan Allen in the fold. You still got 2 top 10 picks. Let's make it happen. We'll see you soon. Sub for Bears Dubs. See you next time.